Morning, everyone. Welcome to the September 24th, 2019 meeting of Henderson County Fiscal Court. We're glad you're with us today. We're going to begin as we always do with an invocation, and we're glad to see Reverend Eric Hoy of First Presbyterian Church with us, and he will lead us in the invocation, please. Please stand.
Let us pray together. Holy and loving God, it is a privilege to stand before you and to acknowledge you before the business that's being transacted today. Lord, we give you thanks for the beauty of this cool fall day. We give you thanks for those who serve you. Thank you for our leaders. Thank you for the people in this room who have a deep passion for your county. And so, Lord, we pray your blessing upon the business that we transact today, that you would unite our hearts and minds so that we can accomplish the things that you want to do here in this county. And so bless this meeting today, and we give it unto you, for we pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Reverend. Appreciate it. Mr. Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Magistrate Southard.
Here.
Magistrate Putman.
Here.
Magistrate McCollum.
Here.
Magistrate Berry.
Here.
Magistrate Moran is absent today.
Thank you. You have in front of you the minutes of the September 10th, 2019 Henderson County Fiscal Court meeting. After a period of review, I'll entertain a motion to approve those.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other clarifications, corrections, or additions? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. We have with us today special visitor, Miss Henderson County Fair Queen Elizabeth Russell is with us, and I'll have you come up in a moment. We've been asked by Heather Knight, who's part of the coordinating committee for the Henderson County Fair, who puts on the pageants with Miss J.C. Beckner, who's with us today also, to make a point to recognize this year's winners and let everybody know that pageants are no longer just about how you look, but it's about the kind of person you are and helping instill many other leadership skills and self-confidence skills in the participants. And just as a reminder, I'd like to read off the names of the 2019 Henderson County Fair pageant title holders, just to recognize them. In addition to Miss Russell, we have Miss Henderson County State Queen, Gracie Kelly, Miss Henderson County Fair Teen, Miss Kendall Warren, Miss Teen Henderson County State Participant, Ella Goff, Miss Preteen Henderson County Fair, Avery Crawford, Miss Preteen Henderson County State Participant, Caden Conrad, Little Miss and Mr. Henderson County Fair, Hadley Martin and Gatlin Pritchett, and finally Little Miss and Mr. Henderson County State Fair, Kinley Dixon and Luke Mattingly. And if Elizabeth would join us at the podium with JC and just talk a little bit about your experience and why pageants have been important in your life. Composure is one of the things they teach in pageants too, haven't
I forgot everything I was going to say now that I'm up here. Okay, here we go. The importance to me is to bring the community more together, because in the past, our winners have only attended 1 to 3 events. I think I've attended 12 so far already, and I still have like 8 months to go. But the importance when I started was probably to help with my self-confidence. Even when you win or lose, when you get your judge score sheet back and it's like beautiful dress, beautiful smile, it just sets it off. It's awesome. I love it. I would recommend it to anybody.
Appreciate that. And JC, any further thoughts you want to give us about the importance of participating?
I competed this year too, but I competed in pageants when I was little, and even she competes. All 3 of my daughters compete. So my oldest daughter, she competed in Miss Preteen, and for her, it was more about the friends that she made. Like, she they had an awesome group of preteens this year and a great community of girls that they have now that they probably wouldn't have known each other otherwise because they go to different schools and they don't see each other. So apparently Oakley likes to talk too.
Well, thank you for helping volunteer. Thank you, Elizabeth, for coming up and seeing us today. And congratulations on being Miss Henderson County Fair. And
Thank you
hope
for
your
having me.
year as reigning queen will be fun and entertaining. And hope to see all the winners back again next year after the county fair.
Thank you.
Thank you. We're gonna skip ahead to our animal control reports. Debbie Edwards, do you mind giving us an update?
Good morning, Judge Madersons and Kurt. I don't really have a lot of major updates as far as animal control, except for the court case that we just finished discussing last meeting. The court, I believe, first court date is today. They did surrender all of their animals, so we have already started moving all of those out.
Is this the couple in Corden?
Yes. I'm not sure what will happen, with the cruelty charge in that court setting, but most of the animals that we have, we do still have a few dogs that we're trying to get placed currently. Everything else is being already moved out. So that went fairly quickly compared to the last time that we went through this, so that was a big help for us. I've been in touch with Kurt asking a few questions about the city-county tags because I was having trouble finding enough documentation as to when it started, how much the tags were, and implementing them. We're currently charging $2 for a city-county tag. And honestly, as much as I hate to admit it, I myself didn't even realize it, that we required this until I became a board member. So I think it's just lack of awareness. I did contact all the surrounding counties, and they all are charging $5 currently. So I would like to propose an increase to that $2 mark. I do have a letter here that is from 2007 that you probably already have, where it was actually suggested that they raise it from $2 to $5, and then it was just held off at that point. All the surrounding counties are also going to raise it probably to 10 next year, but I would like to at least maybe get it up to $5 currently. We've actually sold 51 to date since January, which was actually more than I originally expected. But when people take their animals to the vet to get their rabies vaccination, then they have to actually come to the shelter to get a city-county tag, and the majority of people just aren't going to do that. I'm not sure the solution on that, other than, starting with awareness first of all, and then we can kind of go from there and maybe get the vets on board to actually help circulate the tags a little bit more efficiently.
That was going to be a question I had. It doesn't seem to matter what the amount is if nobody knows about
Right,
it and if
exactly.
it's not enforced. And I mean, it seems like the awareness piece is the most important.
Exactly.
And I know most of us, we take our animal to the vet, we get the rabies tag there. Is there not some way where they could be available through the vets?
They can. It's kind of a volunteer service for them, and it's actually on my agenda today to stop by and talk to them to see if they could at least, offer it there, and then they would just pay animal control back. It's kind of a little bit more work on their part, so I would completely be grateful if they would offer to jump on board. That's my next step.
Do any of the counties that are successful with licensing situations have something where, the vets are able to retain a certain amount of the fee in order to sell it? Do other places do that?
I believe Union and Webster both agreed to let the veterinarians that do offer it, they keep a percentage of that cost, just for their time and trouble and the amount of paperwork they have to endure to keep up with it. But if it doesn't go through the shelter, then we can't document the amount that's coming through to even like send a reminder once a year when it's time for them to do that. So that's on the plans to try to figure out a more efficient way to keep it controlled and enforced.
It seems to me like that awareness piece is much more important
Exactly.
than the
Because
the
I've lived here
amount
my
right
whole
now, 'cause,
life, and I honestly did not have it. I've had animals my whole life and did not know until I became a board member.
I mean, 51 in 9 months seems, I mean, there are a lot of dogs in Henderson. So I don't know. I would say if there's some way, I know we're doing ordinance reviews and things like that. If there's something that the county can do to reasonably, do something to encourage that without being overly punitive. I know my office would be glad to work with you as far as drafting that, something to present to fiscal court.
And I know the cost of that actually comes through the county. So in order, I would have to have a second reading or an approval through you guys to actually increase that to $5 as well.
Yes, it's an ordinance.
Okay.
But again, increasing, it doesn't matter what, it could be $100 if nobody's going to do it.
Right,
So we need to work on
exactly.
that, some way to increase access for the average pet owner and then awareness.
Yes, sir.
Aren't we working on the more ordinances and do with the dogs and animal control and all that kind of stuff? Is that anything?
Yeah, we're reviewing all the ordinances, in fact,
Ye-
and that'll be among them.
Yeah, Metro McCullum, I'm kind of helping with that ordinance, trying to draft a new ordinance with some volunteers off that board. The very issue that was brought up by Debbie was it's kind of getting consideration. I think the whole thing is going back to just what Mr. Gold mentioned about if you could get a buy-in from the vets to keep a percentage of that licensing fee to kind of offset the things you said, administrative fees
And just the inconvenience to the
Yeah.
public in general.
But that-
Their vet may be on the other end of town and they have to drive all the way over here for a $2 city tag. They're just
Exactly.
not going to do it.
Yeah, but that is one of the things being looked at, I think, at this time.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but the veterinarians have the option to charge a little bit extra than the $2, say $3, to cover their own little administrative cost if they want to.
Yes, sir.
Or folks can go to the, if they want to save $1, go to the Humane Society. But I agree with Mr. Gold. It's we can review this request, but I think it's a whole lot more about awareness and
Yes.
convenience than it is about the price. Raising the
Absolutely.
price, even if it's a small amount, might drive even more people not to worry
Right.
about tagging their dogs. So.
Well, I feel like if it was $2 in 2007, that amount alone, bringing in $102 to date isn't even going to pay for us to purchase the tags. So in order to recoup some of the animal control costs, in order to stay with the surrounding counties, the $5 would at least help offset a little bit of that. I also have another form here that I want to show you. How many copies is
Thank you.
that? This is more on the Humane Society side of it, but we're all aware of all the owner surrenders that we've been enduring lately that have been quite extreme, and we are still completely full, 0 open kennels, an enormous amount of cats. So the board has came up with this policy to implement an owner surrender fee to start October the 1st. It's pretty comparable to other counties throughout Kentucky. It's kind of a fine line there between having the owner surrender them to us with a $25 fee so we can make sure that they are properly taken care of, or a lot of strays just being running loose because they don't want to pay the fee. So it's still a work in progress, but I feel like we have to start somewhere to promote ownership responsibility.
If they don't have the money, what happens?
We will be glad to work with somebody on that. We've accepted payments. That I think a lot of it is still a work in progress, and we're going to learn as we go. But most importantly, it's just it should be a last resort, not just, the dog grew up and now I don't want it anymore, so here you go. We want everybody to realize that it's a lifelong commitment, and it just shouldn't be so easily brought to us.
So are you going to be tracking to see if your stray
Yes,
start rising? Because this $25 could end up costing you a lot more money.
exactly. So we will readdress it, and we'll keep the numbers coming in monthly, and I'll try to include those in the quarterly reports as well, just so we can stay on top of it and see how it's working. But you guys know in July we had so many surrenders that we were drowning.
How do you keep track of the people that have their licenses?
When they come in, we document it through our shelter software and with the tag number.
It's like on an Excel spreadsheet or
Mhm.
what? And how do you send them notices?
Well, previously we haven't. That's why I want to bring more awareness. So we haven't had this software for maybe a year and a half. So it does a really good job on flagging the anniversary date so we can start sending them like a postcard in the mail as a reminder, just like the vets do.
But my guess is it's going to cost you more money to send them the notice than you're actually going to get on the tags.
Right. That's all I have.
Any more questions?
Just, you say the revenue, obviously need to generate some more because, that negative number, it's coming down some, but it's still, pretty routine to see that negative number in
I
your
know.
financials. So, yeah.
Yes,
But anyway,
sir.
Thank you, Debbie.
Thank you. You have in your packets the quarterly report from Jailer Brady. Ms. Brady, anything you want to add to any of this?
Good morning.
Morning.
The quarterly report is basically the same as last time. Boiler, holding tanks, leaking. We've had several people come in to give us some prices on rebuilding the holding tanks. The kicker is that the boiler holding tanks were put in and then the roof was put on the jail when the jail was built. So it's going to be a chore for whoever we can get to overtake that. We need a minimum of 1,000 gallons of water. They recommended 1,200 gallons. And the location of the storage tanks, they're going to have to cut those up to take them out to get new ones in, and then they'll have to be welded in place. So it's going to be costly when we finally do find someone that can do the job and is willing to do it.
Amy, have you looked at going away from the boiler?
Pardon?
Have you looked at going away from the boiler to a different type of heat?
We have, and it's just not effective for our facility. Oldham County, their new facility, they're doing a lot of inline hot water heaters because they also did solar panels with their facility.
Mm-hmm.
And our maintenance guy, when things die down at the jail a little bit, he's going to go up there and take a look at what they've done just to see if there's any way at all we can accommodate that. But according to Jay Smith, the roof of the jail will have to put, if we chose to go in that direction and it was feasible, then we would have to put everything outside the building somewhere. We couldn't put things on the roof like they did.
Is this boiler project something you anticipate might need to be bid, like formal bidding?
It
Over
will have to
20,000?
be, yes, definitely.
Might check with Brenda about getting that put together with Kurt and following the law, obviously.
Yes, we will. Right now, we're just trying to see if there's anybody in this area or which direction we're going to have to go.
Yeah.
So far, we're not having a lot of luck.
I understand that.
Amy, you've
Yes,
done
sir.
an awesome job, and you really worked hard, and I appreciate it. Have we done anything to try to get the judicial coordinating committee together? I see where we're still not using the kiosks. The county clerk evidently is refusing to.
The circuit court clerk.
Circuit court clerk,
Yeah.
excuse me. Sorry, Bernice.
They,
And with the overcrowding in the jail, I mean, have we gone back? I mean, we used to go sit down and look at the number of prisoners and who's there and how long they've been there. And, you know, sometimes we could go through and they've been there long enough, we can back off that. And any chance of us doing that and getting some cooperation from the...
We've reached out to the judges, and booking's been working with them, the booking supervisor, and trying to get people to go through the court at the same time, because, you know, some people will have a couple cases in traffic, then somebody will have something in misdemeanor court.
Right.
They're trying to get them to go through court at the same time. But, I mean, their docket is just outrageous as far as the number going through court every day. They're there, well, I know Steve knows, for hours on end. I saw the bailiffs at the jail the other day on 6 different trips, full vans. So they're going to court. It's just people aren't posting bonds. We've got people on felony charges that their bond's a little of nothing, and their families and friends aren't posting bonds for them.
But would the kiosk help with that?
If they had access to money and a card, yes, sir.
Can we, Steve, have you talked to Herbie and see what we can do to get that?
Had those discussions, Judge. He believes it's a Frankfurt AOC issue. But I think one of the other issues is with the Rocket Docket program not being there anymore. Jailer Brady referred to it. I think we've got a lot of folks. They may have district court cases, but a lot of them are being held on pending felonies. And that complicates things, and most defense attorneys won't handle a misdemeanor case while there's a felony pending, and so sometimes there ends up being kind of a snowball effect as far as the number of cases there. And I do think that's something that once a case actually hits circuit court, it goes pretty quickly. They do have a pretty efficient process up there. However, there for a while we had a situation where things were moving along a little quicker with that Rocket Docket, but that's no longer the case.
Are they coming down to preliminary hearings?
No, sir.
'Cause, I mean, that would be helpful if you could sort it out at that stage. Yeah, you can keep that one downstairs, and now this one needs to go upstairs, and that we did that for a while, and it really was helpful, but it made things go faster too.
I think at the next meeting of the Judicial Center Committee, this needs to be a focal point. So we'll work on this a bit. Thank you. Any other comments?
The only other thing that I have is the control panel for the CSC. That's going to be something that needs to be replaced in the near future, and it's just barely over $20,000.
So at this point, it'll need to be bid? Yeah.
There's no, because it's the only place that works with our system, and they do the control panels for Indiana, Kentucky, and Tennessee.
The state has increased the threshold for bidding out projects to $30,000, and we may be interested in making that change in our administrative code as soon as possible to allow the flexibility that the state has built into that change. So maybe addressing that soon.
No disrespect to the newspaper, but we could save the advertising cost on this. I mean, I like advertising, I like bidding, but in that case, there's no place else you're going to go.
Right.
Might as well not spend the money on newspaper.
And in good news, the parole office, they're all moved in, and they seem very happy, and the state's looking at possibly having a ribbon cutting for the facility mid-October. They're waiting on the rest of their furniture to come in.
Good, and I think Brenda cleared with DLG, or at least clarified how we receive the lease payments. I think it's going to be very simple for you, so you might check with her, but I think the news is good there, so
They've already got the first one.
good deal. Any other questions for Jailer Brady?
I just was looking, Amy, I see you're about 17 short. as far as having a full complement of employees down there. But I do see, I guess I'm asking when you would see maybe that pay raise going into effect.
It would be something we'd have to sit down and crunch some numbers to take a look at, see what we could do. We raised our pay from 12 to 14 so that we were comparable with surrounding counties.
Right.
And then they raised theirs another $1, so now we're losing them again. Every jail in Kentucky and prison is short-staffed, and they've got probation and parole going down and working at Eddyville on overtime. So the parole officers are working in the prisons down there. Jail employees, that's one of the
Well, I
hardest
know we're in
jobs,
that constant-
and it's just constant turnover. And a lot of people work in a jail to get their foot in the door to go into law enforcement, sheriff's office. They've got some of our best staff throughout the years, and then we just lost some to Evansville, and we've got another one near leave, and he's going to another law enforcement agency.
Yeah, I guess when we budgeted, we didn't consider a raise at that time
No,
in salaries.
no, but
I know you got it, but it's, yeah.
we'll be okay, but we've got to look at our income compared to what's going to be going
Yeah.
out.
Well, and you got to stop the bleeding. You know, retention is not real good, so
It is.
anything that may help. It may help. You know, so
Yeah, we're trying some other morale boosters, but people in the jail really and truly are not happy. They're stressed, and the stress kind of goes downhill. As far as overall budget and the pay, you know, the overtime, when we work overtime, that comes out of the line item, and it was one of the hardest things that I had to understand was that when we get reimbursed for federal overtime, it'll go back in, but then it doesn't show up in our payroll line item. It shows up in the revenue. And that was difficult to understand, that the money's still there, but it's just not where we can transfer it at the time. We're going to look at submitting the paperwork for an increase in our federal per diem. So it's just a lengthy process, and we've already got the clearance to go ahead. So we had a 3-year hold before we could ask for an increase.
do you have a stack of applicants like this thick? What?
We do, but when people apply and come in and pay to take a drug screen that they know they can't pass, we can't hire them.
Got it. All right, thank you, Amy.
You're welcome.
Thanks. Good luck with that.
Thanks.
You gonna make a motion to accept Jailer Brady's quarterly report?
So move.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any other questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. You have before you the Sheriff's monthly report. Anything you want to add to this, Sheriff Brady?
I move we accept it, Judge.
You have a motion
Second.
and a second. Any questions? All those in favor of accepting the Sheriff's monthly report signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? County Clerk's report. Renisa.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Morning.
I have the payments to the county treasurer for the month of August 2019. Excess fees for the month, $104,549.05. And the total amount remitted to the county for August is $149,964.40. And the excess fees are down from August of 2018 by $6,452, and that is due to our delinquent tax payments. The numbers are kind of skewed because last year we had a company that came in and paid $185,000 in delinquent taxes in one swipe, so the numbers are kind of off due to that. But anyway, otherwise we're doing well.
Any questions of Renisa?
Move to accept.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any questions? County Clerk, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Renisa, real quickly, excuse me. Training on the new machines, going well?
We haven't done it yet, but yes, we are making plans to do that. We're inspecting our absentee machine actually this Thursday, and then next Tuesday is when absentee voting begins in the office. So, but yes, we are going to have a special training for the e-poll books at the Expo Center. So,
Excellent.
yes.
Keep us posted.
All right. Thank you.
Mr. Gold, your pens.
Judge, I've got several checks today. The first being a flow-through payment from the city, $458.33. Dental and life insurance, $469.82. Health insurance, $8,737. Aflac, $124.94 for a total today of $9,790.09, bringing the fiscal year total to date to $53,928.72.
Motion to approve.
Motion and a second. Any other questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Treasurer Brenda Ryder.
I have some transfers, fund transfers as well as cash transfers you should have received in your packet. The appropriation transfers are within the existing budget, transferring to insurance courthouse $2,000 from contingent appropriations. What this is for is this is the property insurance for the county. We've added the completed detention center or probation and parole building to the insurance policy, which was $385. In addition, I'm adding a little bit more for possible changes through the rest of the year. LGEA fund transferring to the Community Volunteer Fire Department's line, $10,000 from the contingent appropriations line. This is due to the additional volunteer fire department insurance coverages for their newer equipment that's exceeded the budget for this year. Also from the LGEA fund to the Human Rights appropriation line, $9,400 from contingent appropriations. And what this is for is Human Rights was budgeted $30,000 for this fiscal year. We also, in claims today, you will see where we've paid approximately $9,300 to the city for Human Rights, which was actually last fiscal year, April through June. We did not receive the invoice until the new fiscal year. And as far as claims, I will be asking later to write the Human Rights Commission their full appropriation check of $30,000 for this fiscal year. Then I have cash transfers, which you see are all from the grants fund to various funds. These were electronic deposits by the state, which all went into the grants fund, and this is moving it to the appropriate funds.
Any questions on the transfers? Again, I want to reiterate the community volunteer fire departments, when we guessed the number for the total amount of their reimbursement, we guessed a little low because they've been able to buy new equipment with the fees on property tax bills. But of course, when you buy new equipment, the insurance goes up. So we guessed a little low there. But the good news is they're getting new equipment. So that's all good for them. And does everybody understand about the Human Rights Commission?
Well, I was going to ask for some clarification just to make sure that's what we owed last quarter that we got billed late for.
Yes.
That money, the city has already been out, so that's just kind of a reimbursement.
Yes. Prior to the change for this new fiscal year, the city invoiced the county. You know, it was set aside, it was budgeted as an appropriation, but the appropriations were actually paid when the invoices were received from the city. And that's probably going to that is going to change with the changeover in the commission this year.
And the $30,000 starts this year.
Yes,
as
sir.
of July 1 going forward.
The 30,000 is what the county budgeted for
Right.
this current fiscal year.
Yeah. Thank you, Brenda.
I'd make a motion to approve, but also to note that we've got two different ones floating around, and that my motion's on the one with the human rights, the other one didn't have that.
Sorry, we substituted in one, didn't take
Yes,
one out.
there was a change after the Finance Committee meeting yesterday. Yes.
Yeah, I second it.
We have a motion and a second on approving the transfers, the updated version. Any other questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Continue, please.
Thank you, Brenda.
These are the bank balances after paying claims today. Your day-to-day appropriation line should be at approximately 25%. I have additional claims. In the general fund, to Magistrates Moran and Berry, each in the amount of $1,053.91. This is to come from the Magistrates Training Incentive Appropriation line and is to be paid with the October 3rd payroll. Also from the general fund to Sheriff Brady in the amount of $4,215.64. This is to come from the Sheriff Training Incentive Appropriation line and is to be paid with the October 3rd payroll. In the general fund to Randy Tassa in the amount of $547.62. This is to come from the Building Inspector Training Appropriation line. This is reimbursement for the Kentucky Mitigation Managers Meeting. Also from the general fund to Tom DeMar and Sons Electric in the amount of $7,869.30. This is to come from the Renewal and Repairs Courthouse Appropriation line. This is for electrical work done for the maintenance building and the Sheriff's Department area. The road fund to Bill Hubiak in the amount of $725.45. This is to come from the County Engineers Training Appropriation line. This is for miscellaneous training and expenses. Also from the road fund, Home Depot in the amount of $654.75. This is to come from the Parks, Programs, and Supplies Appropriation line. This is for table and chair carts for the Sandy Lee Watkins Community Building. In the LGEA fund, which we earlier discussed, to the $30,000 to the Henderson Human Rights Commission, and this is for the fiscal year 20 appropriation.
Any other questions and claims?
I make a motion, we pay the claims.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. At this time, I'd like Occupational Tax Administrator Brent Hebner to come to the mic real quick. You remember last year we had to table a potential refund of occupational tax to a company. He's done more research on that and has some new news.
As previously requested by the treasurer, a check in the amount of approximately $3,200 was going to be paid to Packer Sanitation as a refund for overpaid taxes to the county. Bottom line up front, this is on hold. It doesn't appear that this check is going to be paid anytime soon. I've been in contact with Packer Sanitation. I think they have a bit of confusion as to our ordinance. I don't think they've read it. I don't think they understand it. They've paid large dollar amounts in the previous years that seem to be having carryovers that roll forward. When we took the account over from the city, they had approximately $4,800 in forward payments and taxes that weren't due. By the time they've submitted for their net profit of 2018, they only had a total of $1,630 due in taxes. They erroneously filled out our county forms stating that it was a final return, that they were going to cease operations. However, I received a second quarter payroll payment for them that they're still operating in the county, and they have two separate actual business entities that are operating, Packers Chemicals and Packers Sanitation. Their company is very, very hard to communicate with. I have been on the phone with payroll, tax department, and now I have an email to their CFO that is trying to clear this up. But it looks like they're going to continue operations. They just weren't quite sure how our forms read, and they filled them out erroneously. I apologize for the inconvenience.
Yeah.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to pay claims. Any other questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. And now we open it up for good of the county. Anybody in our audience would like to speak to good of the county, please come forward.
Good morning to everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. I am Charles Johnson, the Executive Director for the Henderson County Human Rights. Certainly want to, first of all, thank the Fiscal Court for your contribution of funds to the human rights. I had the opportunity to meet with some of the city officials last week in a meeting, just kind of an introduction meeting. Some of the plans as we proceed forward is to certainly strengthen the communication with the Fiscal Court. I'm asking that quarterly that I come before the court with a brief update on what's taking place with the Human Rights Commission. Currently, we've hit the ground running since September 1. We're in the process of packing up, moving out to the new location at the Peabody. We're kind of just updating our office. We're kind of just starting from ground zero. So the only direction we can go, hopefully, is up. So we hope to strengthen that communication not only with the Fiscal Court, but also with the City Court. So whatever information we provide to you guys will also be going before the City Commission and providing that same information on a quarterly basis. Our objective is certainly to strengthen the awareness in our community that there is a Human Rights Commission, and what their main objective is to educate the community about their various rights. Since I come aboard, there's been a couple of cases that we're working on, still have yet to train with the state. I've established rapport with the Evansville Human Rights as well as with the Hopkinsville Human Rights, just for some education purpose. Was supposed to be training today with the state representative, but they emailed and said they couldn't make it today, so we'll reschedule that. So good things are taking place, establishing a relationship, working with the current Human Rights Commission board. Two of those individuals are present today to say thank you for the funds, and I certainly want to commend them, all of them who are participating on the board, for their effort and their work prior to the vacating of the board from the previous executive director, and we're looking forward to a great relationship with the city of Henderson. So we say thank you. Any questions that you have?
Just a comment. You got Mr. Coombs with you today,
Yes,
and
Ms. Coombs
Miss
and Ms. Darlene Ware.
Darlene Marshall Ware is with you. So it looks like to me you brought support,
Yes.
and that's always good to see.
Well,
And wish you the best, Reverend.
Thank
really.
you. Thank you. Thank you.
And we will be working with the mayor in the next few weeks just to solidify the last couple seats on
Yes.
that board, make sure we have it nailed down and we set terms of service and should be ready to go here shortly.
And you're welcome here anytime.
Thank you.
Yes. Glad you're on board.
And when I do come, it's not just for money.
Well, we just wrote you a whole check for the whole year, so you're right. It can't be for money.
That's right. So we thank you guys.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks. Anybody else for good of the county, please?
Good morning.
I'd like to bring to your attention a challenge I see coming for our county government before it happens. A challenge not only for our county government, but for our community and its citizens. I want us as a group of elected officials responsible for the safety and security of our community to have time to carefully deliberate and plan on a way to approach this challenge. The Fiscal Court has proven with your votes your support for our employees, and that is very much appreciated. But as time moves forward, the challenge of keeping valued employees becomes more difficult. Bottom line is we're losing deputies. We've lost one to a health issue. One has left us to go to the city police department. Another has applied and been interviewed by the city police. And another is going to retire in March of 2020. I know of other deputies who are testing the waters in private business and industry to see if the future for their families is more promising by leaving county government. We have a lot of money and a lot of time and training invested in these deputies. Finding individuals with the high standards of honesty, integrity, dedication, and bravery is very difficult. The stringent hiring requirements include a background investigation, drug screen, polygraph, physical agility testing, and a financial review, and that proves to be challenging. For every one person we find with these qualities, we have reviewed about 20 applications and interviewed several candidates. To get an applicant state certified, which is a state requirement, we must get the individual to complete the grueling hiring requirements, acquire a police academy start date, which is sometimes 3 or 4 months out in the future, put them through a 20-week training academy and a 6-week field training officer process. This takes approximately 14 months from the initial contact with the applicant until we have a deputy who can independently answer a call for service without a training officer. To compensate for this long process, we always try to find a person who's already certified. To do that, we must find a person who has already met those hiring and training requirements, but would be willing to leave their hiring agency and come to work for Henderson County. And to accomplish that, we must be an attractive place to work that has the pay and benefits to attract that person to us. Presently, a person wishing to come to work for Henderson County or transfer to us as a certified officer will find good equipment, average pay, and non-hazardous retirement. Those agencies we are competing against to hire these certified officers, agencies in our town, in our county, or the tri-state area, are offering in many cases higher pay, shift differential pay increases, more vacation time, and hazardous duty retirement. Our young applicants in some cases and our present deputies are looking to the future and who can offer their families the best future. Sometimes that better future is as simple as driving up the street and putting on a blue uniform. I know that hazardous duty is not a possibility due to the extreme cost. And I've promised this court I will never ask for hazardous duty. But we must, as a group of people responsible for the welfare of our community, discuss, debate, and plan on ways to keep our deputies. I have the same appreciation for the taxpayer as anyone in county government. I also share the same commitment to hold budgets as low as possible and eliminate waste. I have that same commitment as much as anyone in county government. But we must provide essential services to our citizens. The number one responsibility of any government is to provide for the safety of our communities. When you call for a deputy in an emergency and are told it may be 45 minutes until one can get there, lives can literally hang in the balance. There are only 12 troopers working the 6-county Post 16 State Police District. 12 troopers. There were 45 troopers when I was a trooper. We had 9 in Henderson County. They only have 12 for the entire post area now. That's an average of 2 troopers per county, so asking them to take a call we cannot get to may not happen, or may take them 45 minutes by the time they come from Morganfield. The city police department has graciously taken many calls on the Twin Bridges because we cannot respond in a reasonable time, and many times the city police department provides a backup for our deputies on dangerous calls in the county because we do not have sufficient personnel to provide backup. Frankfort is responsible for our retirement system meltdown. We are not, but we are responsible to find a way to continue to provide essential services to our people. Our citizens are expecting us to find solutions to tough issues, especially when it comes to their safety. I will do research in the coming weeks to find ways other communities have responded to this challenge and will always share that information with you. I cannot wait another 6 months to a year to warn you of the potential crisis that is coming over the horizon. That would be irresponsible of me to wait until it's here. That is why I'm coming to you before the crisis to give us all time to prepare and plan on ways to avoid our personnel shortage. It is coming unless we act wisely and responsibly. Thank you for listening, and I'm hopeful we can work together to find answers that respect the taxpayer, our deputies, and our obligation to protect citizens. Any questions, I will tell you that we're already initiating a program with the state police where we're taking old surplus radios we have. We're going to loan 3 radios to the state police so their troopers that work primarily this county can have our radio system and hear where we're going and what we're doing, and maybe they can assist us, or we can swap off on calls and help cover for each other. Short of that, I don't know. You talk about more vacation time. We could probably give more vacation time, but if you're shorthanded, how can you give people more time off? So it's not a simple solution, but I want us to all to work together as a team in being responsible to the taxpayer, but also being responsible to delivering emergency services to our citizens. And I feel like this is a deal where it's going to take us a while to figure this out, but I'd like for us to start looking at it. I'd like for us to all be aware that I see it coming. We will be 4 deputies short by March of next year. And that's dangerously short when you give people vacation time, sick time, training days. That puts you dangerously short. I don't know how many times a week I hear on the radio dispatch say, control to any deputy available for a call. And what that means is everybody's busy and they're just looking for somebody to answer it. And many times our sergeants are out there answering calls full time. Our lieutenants go answer calls, our chief deputy. And one of our lieutenants was down at the semi yesterday on Interstate 69. I get up and go answer calls if we're shorthanded. But if it's an emergency call and we have to tell them it's going to be 30 or 40 minutes before a deputy can get there, that's not acceptable to anyone. Don't necessarily ask for any response. I just want to make you aware I see it coming. I'm a team member. I want to work with all of you in an agreeable, positive, productive way to see what we can do to maintain the employees we have. It's very difficult when it takes 14 months from the time I say hello to you until we get you out as a road deputy. We lose 3 or 4, we can't just snap our fingers and get them back. Certified officers are not there right now. We are looking high and low to other agencies, and they're going to places where there's shift differential pay and hazardous duty retirement. And we've got to compete against hazardous duty without going to hazardous duty. So I thank you for your time. I appreciate your consideration in the future. I will be coming to you periodically with factual information from other agencies for us to consider. And hopefully by our next budget process in July, we can all come to a conclusion which will help us with this. Thank you for your time.
Any other questions of Sheriff Brady before he sits down?
Yeah, I think it's safe to say, too, other agencies are having problems like that, too, so it's hard to get somebody from anywhere.
The national FOP has said applications for police officer are down 66%. So everybody's struggling to find them. When you find a good one, everybody's fighting for them because it's very important we hire the right people. So let's work on this together, and we got some time. Hopefully, if we don't crunch the time thing down to just the budget process in itself, we can come up with some answers.
And if the court's amenable, when we get to the appropriate time, maybe we can form a little subcommittee made up of myself and Magistrate Berry to begin the discussions about what to bring to court.
We'll work with you all any way we can to make this thing a good thing for our taxpayers and our community.
Is that acceptable to everybody? When we get to the appropriate time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Judge, I'd like to echo what the sheriff is saying. I talked to a lot of victims in court, and the sheriff's department, they're able to get it done. They're getting it done right now, but I also know how stretched they are to get that done, and how that's difficult for them to do anything other than just respond to that call right then. Any other special projects or special details they have, they just don't have the person power to get that done. And I think that's a real looming problem that we have. And I see that in talking with the deputies every day. I know the pressures they're under, and I know that the private sector even is something that is alluring to some of them. and when he's done a great job of hiring the right people. I mean, we have some great folks there, but that retention piece is very difficult. We've lost people over the years to, Indiana State Police, other police departments. I mean, it's something that's happening quite a bit, and it does seem like as soon as we get somebody trained up and ready to go, they're having to look because of their families, and the situation they're trying to just do right by the families. So I think as a community, that's something we really need to look at, is once we find good folks to get in that position, finding some way to retain them, because it's a good operation that they're in, but keeping them is going to be difficult.
Thank you. Anybody else for good of the county? Magistrate Southern?
Well, first off, I'd like to say congratulations to you for the award you won for the grad leadership award. And next is harvest is full force right now. We've got a lot more semis on the road. We've got a lot of people that don't drive semis every day on the road, so please be aware. And see a combine tractor, give us a break. Back off the road. We're big, we're slow, and we apologize, but we have to get to where we're going. And other than that, everything's good. Thank you to the road department. Y'all got District 3 looking really good, and I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks for your kind comments. Magistrate Putman.
Thank you, Judge. Again, just to echo it, congratulations for the Texel Brooks Award last night.
Thank you.
And the leadership from GRAD. And everything is good in the fourth.
Thank you. Magistrate McCollum.
Congratulations. And to what Ed said, and I don't mean to keep doing this, but the state has let us down. The Commonwealth of Kentucky and our legislators, not necessarily our legislators, but the legislation, they have not raised the revenue that they should have put into the retirement system. Having two troopers for Henderson County is just insane. And it's not fair to the sheriff's office. It's not fair to Henderson County. And they need to be part of our solution, the legislators, to come in. We need to find some revenue for the retirement system. You can't keep dumping on the county attorney's office and not fully support the child support. I mean, we're now helping support that we shouldn't be having to do. The jail is getting messed over by the county inmate situation and what the state pays. What the state pays us is the same it's been for 20 years, 15, long time. It's not fair, and we need to make them part of our partnership for this thing to correct our problems. The state police post should be helping us in Henderson County rather than the deputies having to help them all the time and cover for them. And that's what we're doing now. The sheriff's department is covering for the state police. Anyway, but all's good in the fifth, except for those things.
After all that, all's good in the fifth. Master Barry.
Well said, Charlie. I believe that's right. And the sheriff department does cover for the state police. It didn't used to be that way, but I think we could safely say that. Thank everybody for being here. Thank all the presenters. Good job. Thank the sheriff and everybody that got up and spoke. We have work going on in District 1 on our roads. Thank Bill and your staff, and Jeff and all those guys out there. Y'all do a great job. Thank you, Debbie. Everything's good, I believe.
Mr. Gold?
Judge, first I want to apologize. I inadvertently, when we were talking about court stuff, referred to Magistrate McCollum as Judge McCollum, or called him Judge. Old habits die hard. When I'm talking court stuff, I'm so used to calling him Judge.
I understand.
But congratulations on the leadership award. If there's anybody that is deserving of that, you absolutely are. You've really shown what a difference leadership can make, and you've been excellent at that. And I appreciate everything that you've done for this county and will continue to do for this county. I do want to, both Jailer Brady and Sheriff Brady talked about retention issues today, and that's really hitting home with me within the last few days. Had another more news that I'm losing another attorney. The last one I lost was to the school system to go become a teacher, and now this one I'm losing to go back into private practice. And I think part of it does have to do with, some of the pension system issues. It used to be we could retain people in public service paying a little bit less than what the market will bear because, hey, at the end of the road, there's a pension there. That's not really there anymore with this Tier 3. And so now we're paying under what the market will bear, and we don't have benefits that are what they used to be. So I think that's really created a retention problem for us there because there's not that payoff for taking a little bit less as far as pay. So, I don't know what the answer is. I know money's tight everywhere, but I think that's something that really is a looming challenge for us across all parts of local government as we move forward into budgeting. So I want to echo what both the jailer and the sheriff are saying there. On a good note, I think one of the best things to happen to this community in a long time is Reverend Johnson being appointed to the Human Relations Commission. He will be an excellent leader there because he has been a leader in our community for a long time, and I see nothing but great things happening there. So anytime you can have Reverend Johnson on your team, you're in good shape. So congratulations to the board for being able to get him because that is a good get. Otherwise, all is good at the county attorney's office, Judge.
Thank you, and I will echo Steve Gold's compliments for Reverend Johnson. Glad you're with us. I do think it's going to be a much better potential for serving the community in the way the Human Rights Commission was intended to. So good luck to you. Let us know how we can help. I kid Magistrate McCollum a lot, but I tell you that his insight into county and state government is invaluable for this court. He's had a ringside seat for decades now, and what he says about the troubles of the state and their relations with county government is absolutely spot on. We are being asked to carry the load for mistakes made by the General Assembly for years now, years and years. And it's unfortunate. The state is trying to handle it in the most straightforward way possible now, but that still involves extra responsibilities and costs for local government. And it's up to us to figure out how to get that done in this atmosphere of shortages and fixes that need to be made. So we're just going to stick it out, do the best we can to meet the challenge and help folks like Jailer Brady and Sheriff Brady and all the departments who need our assistance in trying to figure out how we keep giving services while creating more expenses to cover these new mandates. So thank you for my team, the team here at the county, our team, for everything they do to make it work. We can continue to work. Thank you very much for the compliments on the Texel Brooks Award. As I said last night, I never met Mr. Brooks. I've heard a lot of great things about Texel Brooks. Born and raised in Slaughter, so humble beginnings, but he ended up achieving amazing things for this region, things we still enjoy today, and to even be mentioned in the same breath with that legacy is pretty humbling. As he's looking down on us, I hope he's proud, or at least pleased in any way. So thank you very much, and with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Motion and a second. All those in favor can leave.